Syrian Democratic Forces spokesperson Farhad Shami has issued a dire warning over Turkey's plans to launch a fresh assault against north and east Syria, a democratic and multi-ethnic autonomous region. Swiss MP Laurence Fellman-Reyel has described the imprisoned leader of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, Abdullah Öcalan, as the modern Mandela, advocating for his release and international action against his prolonged isolation in Turkey's İmralı prison. The Committee to Protect Journalists and Reporters Without Borders have documented attacks against pro-Kurdish and critical journalists in Turkey, targeted with rubber bullets and water cannons, beaten, throttled and detained. The European Union Agency for Law Enforcement Cooperation, or Europol, warns that Turkish criminal networks are among the most threatening in Europe, and that Turkey ranks low in government accountability. Learn more with Media News. Turkey plans to launch a fresh assault on north and east Syria. Syrian Democratic Forces spokesperson Farhad Shami has warned. A potential military operation is likely to target regions close to the key Syrian Kurdish city of Kobani and will further imperil the Syrian Democratic Forces' efforts to withhold an ongoing ISIS insurgency, the representative of the US-allied multi-ethnic military coalition said in comments to Channel 8 News. Shami said, "Although they say they haven't a green light yet, the Turkish government is now looking to Russia and the United States for permission to launch another wave of attacks against Rojava, the autonomous Kurdish-led north and east Syria." The spokesperson went on to suggest that Turkey is particularly targeting Kobani, not only due to the city's global significance as the site of ISIS's first territorial defeat, but also since it lies between the two regions already occupied by Turkey. The Syrian Democratic Forces remain formally allied with the US international coalition to defeat ISIS. This relationship is coming under further pressure, all the more so since the US has failed to prevent ongoing waves of Turkish drone strikes. Shami continued, "ISIS is alive, especially in the Syrian desert," and called for further international support to continue operations targeting the Islamist group. Swiss Federal Parliament member Laurence Fellman-Reyel has likened the imprisoned PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan to Nelson Mandela and called for international efforts to end his isolation. Speaking with Media News' Serkan Demirel on the matter, Reyel emphasised the necessity of mobilising the international community to address Öcalan's freedom and the conditions of his imprisonment in Turkey's İmralı Island prison, where he has been held under severe isolation for over 25 years. Reyel's comments come amid growing movements demanding freedom for Öcalan and a political solution to the Kurdish issue, further amplified by a global campaign initiated in October last year. These movements, supported by millions from Kurdish regions and in Europe, have placed significant pressure on governments to reconsider their stance on the Kurdish leader's imprisonment. The Swiss MP's initiative in the Federal Council aims to draw attention to Öcalan's inhumane detention conditions, highlighting a lack of communication with his family and legal team in recent years. Reyel stated, "It is imperative that Switzerland takes action against the isolation imposed on Abdullah Öcalan, a condition tantamount to torture, underlining the importance of Öcalan in negotiating a peaceful resolution to the Kurdish question." Turkish authorities should allow media and journalists to do their jobs and investigate reports of journalists being attacked by security forces and threatened online for their election reporting, the Committee to Protect Journalists has said. The warning was repeated by Reporters Without Borders, which documented attacks on 8 journalists and 3 arrests, while warning that these serious press freedom violations must stop. Their warnings come as evidence emerged of Kurdish journalists, in particular, being targeted with water cannon and rubber bullets, detained, beaten and throttled, and harassed in the course of post-election unrest, driven by Turkish authorities' attempt to subvert the democratic process and stop democratically elected Kurdish politicians from taking power. The international watchdog details a wide range of attacks on journalists, reporting for critical and pro-Kurdish media. For example, 4 pro-Kurdish journalists were taken into custody in Istanbul on Wednesday. Freelance journalist Madine Mamadoglu was detained. reporting that officers took her camera and beat her when she resisted. Turkish criminal gangs and networks are among the most threatening in Europe, engaging in smuggling, drug trafficking and other illegal activity across the continent, according to a new report from Europol. Turkish key members often form the core of criminal networks, with Belgian, Dutch and German criminals, according to the report by the Pan-European Law Enforcement Network. These networks engage mainly in drug trafficking and money laundering. The Global Organised Crime Index 2023 identified Turkey as the country with the highest organised crime index in Europe. Globally, Turkey ranks 14th on the Organised Crime Index. Government transparency and accountability in Turkey is described as low by the index, with increasing allegations of corruption, nepotism and bribery in major public tenders, especially in the wake of a financial crisis. The Crime Index also notes that while Turkey has extradition treaties with several countries, there are serious concerns about the Turkish government's use of extradition procedures and requests. It also highlighted that in recent years, Turkey has made an increasing number of requests to Interpol for politically motivated red notices, targeting journalists, activists and political opponents living abroad.